basically we will talk. So basically we will talk about, what all is considered in VAT and what all, comes over there, how we need to write a WAT, what are the things we have to keep in mind while writing a WAT, because now today, if you see, whether it's most of the IIMs have VAT as a part of, the overall interview process. Along with that, there are many other institutes also who test your writing ability. Earlier, it used to be a GDs and PIs, which were there. But now what has happened is now they have moved towards checking the writing ability. Now, the point or the difference between a GD and a WAT is that a GD is more about that, what you think about a topic you just speak. But when it comes to a VAT, there is a certain way of writing a, let's say, on any topic, whatever has been given to you. Now, just to start with, before we start, I want every one of you to share with me if you have any, what do you think are the questions which are there in your mind before we, get into how to write a WAT. Prashant, they can unmute themselves, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So guys, feel free. This would be more of a discussion rather than, just a monologue. So you can go ahead and talk. You just have to raise your hand and you can talk. So I think the first one is Vishwas. Vishwas, can you unmute yourself and can you speak?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So sir, like this might come off as a little foolish, but like it has been like 4
First
to 5 years.
First of all, let me set the rules. So we can be as foolish as possible on this session, right? So feel free to ask anything what comes to your mind.
So yeah, like please. It has been 4 to 5 years since we have written proper essay type WATs. So if we know a topic, we can obviously start and end it well. But do you have any suggestions, like when we are blank about the topic, how to introduce, write that introduction and write that conclusion? Because I think that we cannot know everything about every topic. So there might be sometimes some topic we might not be able to think about. So how to go around that?
So if I got your question correctly, you are basically saying if you don't know the topic at all, right? How to write about it? And you know the answer also, right? If you don't know the topic, there is nothing much which could be done, Vishwas. So I will tell you a difference, although we'll cover this as I take you through the slides. But there is a difference between this is what the difference is between a group discussion and the WAT. Group discussion, the best part was when there was some new topic which we are not aware of, let's say, at least someone was speaking, we used to take a point from there and we start speaking in that. But in a WAT, the major challenge is, if the topic we are not aware of, we can't do much around it. We can only see how to handle that. I will take you through one topic during our presentation today, and I will tell you, if let's say you are not aware of it, then what you can write around that. But Vishwas, there is no way out. If you don't know the topic, you can't do actually anything.
Totally understood, sir.
Right. So I will still share with you what the best you can do in such cases. Yeah, Akash, right?
Yes, Akash.
Yeah, Akash.
First of all, a very good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I just had one doubt. So we've all written a couple of essays in our school, right? So when we talk about a WAT, so how different is a WAT from the essays that we've written in our ICSE and CBSE schools in terms of, the paragraphs or anything else?
Right. So absolutely. So that's what we're going to talk about. I think by the end of this session, you would know what is the difference between a WAT and the essays which you have written. A major difference is of it's twofold. One is a structure, right? So the structure which you follow in a WAT might be different from the essays which we have written, because the essays were still a very, very naive things which we used to do at that point of time. Now it is more of a structural way of writing the same essay. Okay. And second is the kind of facts and information which you have to introduce. In our school days, so let's say there's a topic around the Indian economy, right? So you would end up writing few things around Indian economy. But when it comes to now writing this WAT for IIMs or for some business school, you include a lot of facts around that. You include what is the GDP growth, what has been the sectoral background breakup of GDP growth, how much has been a growth in each of the sector. So these facts makes our WAT now. So that's how it is very different. Sorry?
We have to give like more numbers and
more numbers and
facts.
And we'll talk about, how you can get that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Vineet. Quickly, guys, we'll take 5 minutes for this and then we'll get into a presentation. Vineet, your
if
question.
we have, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So if we have certain topics which has two sides, so is it better to be more opinionated or is it better to be more ambiguous?
See, this all depends upon a lot upon the topic, right? So let's say there is a topic which has two sides. I mean, where taking either of the side is feasible. Like I will give you an example. So let's say there is a topic around, let's take a topic of is GDP growth based on services good for the nation, right? This will have both sides, because you are talking about the GDP itself consists of services, manufacturing, agriculture, and so on. And you are saying that a services, if you see Indian GDP today, majorly is based on the services sector. Services sector forms the majority of the GDP today. So we are saying that whether it is good or we want to increase the amount of manufacturing and agri in the country. So that way, if there is a possibility of taking both sides, yes, it is a good option to consider both. But let's say there is a topic where, even the sentiments are such that it always makes sense to take one side, then you should not, just for the sake of going to the other side, you should not take the other side. So I will show you how you can, step by step use both the things. So what you can do is, although we'll talk about it in the further presentation, but what you can do is, you can start with one particular side or one particular, stand which you take. You can talk about the merits and demerits of that. Then you go to the second side and talk about the merits and demerits. And in the conclusion, you end it in such a way saying that both are possible, but this one has more number of merits as compared to the other one. And you can end it. Okay. Any more questions? Anyone else? Last 2 minutes, guys, before we get into it. Rashi has a question. Rashi, please go ahead.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So I wanted to know whether WAT include case studies also.
So WAT as such doesn't include a case study, but there could be a topic of WAT which is in the form of a case study, right? So I will give, if you want an example, I would say that, they could give you a topic around how the fintech or the payment player in the fintech industry can grow in Indian market, right? And that could become a case study around one of the fintech player, and you can describe it, but as such, they will not give you the overall case study.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, then let's start with it. Let me go in the beginning. So we'll talk about few things around WAT. We'll talk about, what we need to keep in mind while we talk about a WAT, and then we will get into details of it. Now, first thing is your introductory line, right? What you introduce. The first introductory line of the passage should function as an acting hook. So acting hook basically says it should be the first line of your overall, as you start your WAT, what you have to do is you have to introduce a topic. So the first thing what you do, you introduce the topic that, this topic is about this. And you can also, let's say if you're taking so there are two possibilities which you can do. One is you take one stand, or there is that you describe both the sides of the topic and you talk about the merits and demerits of both. So if you're taking a stand around in favor or in against of that particular topic, then you have to mention that in the first paragraph itself. So you could say something like, just for an example, if we take the case of one of the WAT topic could be, is work from home good for the corporate India, right? So you could say, if you're taking a stand, this is a good move, or you could say this is not good. So you have to mention first of all that this is the topic which we have been given, and you have to say that as per I believe that it is good for the corporate India, and then you start talking about it. But with that, in the first introduction itself, you have to write it in such a way that it should not only come out as that you are just following the topic and you're saying that you favor it, but you should also cite few percentages or few data point the most important difference between the essay which you used to write and what you do in a VAT is around the data point which you is around the facts and figures. So if you say that, you know, the survey by Gartner or survey by Aon has come up that which says the 56% of the resignations across, and that's actually the fact today, the 56, and we might have heard about that, you know, there is a huge resignation wave which is happening across the corporate world. So 56% of the resignations are happening because the now companies are asking people to come back to office, right? So if you cite that percentage, if you cite the source of it, that makes a lot of impression in the beginning itself. See what these colleges are looking at, and I could tell you from my own experience, right? So majority of time when I was in IIM Calcutta, most of the time the college used to focus on facts. They want to know whether you are well informed. See, there is a huge difference between you saying something and someone, you know, in outside there just talking about, let's say someone says work from home is not good, right? And there is another person who says work from home is not good because the 56% of the resignations are happening due to this reason, or 44% of this is happening. So if you give the facts, that makes you, or that gives an impression to the reader that, you know, this person knows the subject and he is talking about the facts. So the first thing what you have to do is in your introduction itself, or in your introductory paragraph, the first paragraph, which we call introductory paragraph, introduce a topic. Then you say as a first, second or third line after introducing a topic, you say, I believe that this is good. And then you write one of the fact which should, you know, substantiate your stand around that particular topic. So your introductory line has to be a hook, and that can only become a hook if you have a good fact around that particular topic. I will give you one topic, we'll talk about that topic, but for the time being, just for us to understand, the first paragraph will consist of the explanation of a topic, what is your stand, and one fact around that topic, right? So that should be a first paragraph. Now, the second paragraph, we start with having points in favor of that particular topic, right? So always the structure which you have to follow is threefold. You have to, first of all, give your argument or the opinion. If you remember those verbal classes, right, where we did arguments. So you have to give your argument or the opinion. Then you have to cite or the reason for that argument. And third is you have to include facts, right? So these are the three steps which you will always follow in each and every paragraph. Your VAT should not be more than 4 to 5 paragraphs. The last paragraph should always be dedicated only to the conclusion, right? So first paragraph gives an introduction, last paragraph gives a conclusion, and the 3 paragraphs in between, 2 or 3 paragraphs in between, gives you 2 opinion points, right? Where you write about 2 things, and then you substantiate that with the reason and with the facts. Have we got the structure, everyone? Did we get the structure, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you're clear with this, now we go to the second part, which is citing your argument right after introduction. So your arguments should start from the second and third paragraph itself. The second paragraph should talk about this is your argument, and then you give a reasoning, and then you give the example or facts around that. So we'll talk about few topics. We'll talk about what are the arguments you can take. So we'll work on that, but let me first give you the pointers. Be aware of the complexity of the topic. So again, this was a question, I think someone asked me that if you don't know the topic, what you do? If you don't know the topic, actually there is not much which you can do, because in case of a VAT, the only problem is you have no one to discuss this with, right? So the only way which I have seen across the years since I have been training students, and at one point of time when I wrote VAT, the only way is read as much as possible. Most of the times your topics are especially from the current affairs or the things happening around, right? So most of the time the topic will come from there. So like if you ask me today, one of the topic could be a budget, which has recently happened, right? One of the topic could be 30% tax on the cryptocurrencies. One of the topic could be around the Gati Shakti, which has come in budget. At the same time, there could be a topic around the elections. There could be topic around work from home. So these are the things which are happening around, right? That's where these topics come from. That's why my suggestion to you, whenever your VAT is there, before that, make sure that you do current affairs as many as possible. Watch different YouTube videos, attend as many sessions around current affairs as possible, because that will help you in the overall, writing a VAT. Then present, support, and introspect facts. So first you present the fact, which I said that you give the argument, then you find out the support for that argument, right? You find out the reasoning for that argument. At the same time, you find out the facts for that argument and you write those. So introspect facts. Most important part is, if you don't include a fact in your WAT, please understand there is a huge difference between if you just give the argument and you might have found some reasoning around it, but no facts and examples are given. The vis-a-vis, if you have written the facts within your argument, there's a huge difference between the marks which you're gonna get for these. So make sure if you want to score anything above a 50% of the total marks, you have to cite few examples or few facts and figures there. So we'll talk about this. Do not sidetrack from the main idea. Obviously, if the main idea is around 30% tax on crypto, now most of the people, so when I talk about this topic, most of the people start talking about that the Indian government has legalized crypto. That's not true, right? So they have only come up with the taxation on it. There is no legalization which has happened. So you have to keep in mind that you don't sidetrack from the topic itself. So make sure when you start writing, what you have to follow is that there should not be any sidetrack which happens. So you have to always stick to the main idea, right? Let's say the main idea today, if we are talking about, let's say we are talking about the situation and the topic is, just for example, let's say the topic is the growth of unicorns in India, right? So we are talking about the startups and unicorns, right? So we should not sidetrack it and go into the overall economy development which is happening in India. We are only focusing on the main idea, both your arguments. So basically what you have to do is, if you see in a nutshell, right, at the beginning itself, you have to write just 3 points, 3 arguments which you want to use for the topic. And then you have to dedicate 1 paragraph to each of the argument. The first argument you mentioned, you give the supporting evidence, or you give the support to that, and or reasoning for that. And third thing is you have to add the facts for the first argument. Then the second one, then third one. That's it for your WAT. Don't go beyond that. Make sure that these 3 arguments which you have written should focus completely on the main idea of your passage. So main idea of the topic, pick that and just find 3 arguments and you are sorted for WAT. Keep the conclusion brief. Again, don't get, so there is a habit which I've seen most of the times when we start writing the, any essay or even in case of a WAT, first we explain the arguments, and then finally, I don't know why in a conclusion, everyone starts writing the same arguments and make a conclusion in itself a long para. Don't do that. Just stick to few lines where you just give your conclusion. So basis the arguments which has been discussed above, this thing. So I believe that this is what we are looking at this topic. And this is my conclusion for this topic. You just need to conclude it. Your conclusion should not go beyond 5 to 6 lines. So what do you have to focus on? You have to keep a brief conclusion, because think it in a perspective of a reader also, right? So the person who's gonna read is gonna read multiple WATs, right? So he will read a WAT and then move on, read a WAT. And so what they normally do is they look at your introductory paragraph. They see if there are any facts mentioned. The moment they see a fact, it makes them interested and inquisitive to read the entire WAT, right? So they will look at the main point. They will look the beginning of 3 paragraphs and they will see if there are any numbers cited. And then finally they go to a conclusion. So your conclusion should not be long enough that, the person don't end up reading it. So it should be a 5 to 6 line conclusion, which you have to focus on. Any questions by anyone on this? Guys, feel free to ask questions, please. Raise your hand and you can ask questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Akash, go ahead.
So there's somewhere I read that we can generally start a WAT by writing a quote by someone, if we remember it correctly.
Right.
So is that a good enough approach?
If you ask me honestly, right? See, we are not writing an essay. We are writing a WAT. Now, if that quote is very relevant for the topic, right, which is specific to the topic, then it makes sense. Otherwise, if your quote is like, you remember some proverb and just for the sake of writing it, you are writing it. It's like a practice makes the man perfect. That's a quote. Please don't write it. My suggestion would be don't use such quotes. Only use a quote which is specific to that topic. If it aligns with the main idea, you are more than welcome to do that.
No, okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah, Yash. Let's go to Yash. Yash has few questions.
Good evening, sir. Sir, like you said right now, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So, like you said, that facts and figures are extremely important as they, grab attention to whoever is reading. So, I wanted to ask that, if there is a topic and we know a lot about it, but at the same time, we have to ensure that the length doesn't go too much for a reader to feel that it's a lot of a topic. So, what do you suggest is the ideal length for a good topic?
For a good topic, you're talking in terms of length when you say the number of words?
Exactly, sir. Like, suppose if I know a lot about what's happening regarding that topic, and at the same time, the facts and figures as well. So, should I just pour out all my knowledge regarding that, or still I should restrict myself to the basic and the most important ones?
So first thing is, this is a good problem to have, right? Where you know a lot about a topic, right? So what you can do in such cases is, see, always your paragraphs should not go beyond 7 to 8 lines, right? So you have to write 5 paragraphs, each paragraph of 7 lines or 8 lines, and your conclusion should be even briefer to 5 to 6 lines, right? So that's what the length you have to write. Maximum 5 paragraphs, each one going maximum to 7 to 8 lines. Yes, if you keep this thumb rule in mind, you will always, be able to restrict it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. One more thing, Yash, because you asked me this question, so that's why, I want to make sure that you understand. If you have 7-8 arguments around some topic, right? So there is some topic which has come in where you know a lot about it. Always try to find out the top 3. And that's why I normally suggest that in the first 5 minutes or 4-5 minutes, you should just jot down the pointers, right? Just jot down the points which you have, and then you find out the best 3 and write your VAT around that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Vineet, your question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, all. So my question is, so if we are not sure about the fact, like what really the fact is and what percentage we should put, so can we fake it?
No, you should not. See, what you need to understand, guys, these are professors, right, who have been training students like yourself and myself at some point of time. So they know the whole of their day, right? Because they are researching around subjects. Whole of their day goes in reading facts and figures. Now, if they catch you on that, then obviously there would be a negative impression which would be created. So don't fake any numbers.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Right. I would suggest you, let's say you don't remember the numbers, you don't remember the percentage, but you know that it's a very high percentage, right? Somewhere above 60% or above 70. You can either write above 60, or you can say in the top quartile or top, top 1/3 of the people. So that's what you can use.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Those who have asked the question can put their hand down now. Any more questions? Okay, so then what we'll do now is we'll come to this slide in a while. I have one topic for each one of you, but we have a limited time, so we will not go into a whole cycle of 30 minutes. I will give you next 10 minutes from now. I want everyone to write whatever you think, the way you want to write your let's say VAT around this topic. Your topic is why dollar is getting expensive. Right? Take next 10 minutes and just write it. I will ask few of you, and it could be anyone I can pick. I will ask few of you to read your first 2 paragraphs, and we'll see how you are writing right now. Okay. Basis the structure which I just told you, take next 10 minutes and try to write around this. Ten minutes from now, guys, please write on the topic why dollar is getting expensive. Now, I can't see what you're doing, but please make sure that you're writing. Guys, another 4 minutes now. Be quick. Okay, so let's discuss now. Who want to go first before I ask someone to start? Can you hear me?
So can I go first?
You have to raise your hand, whomsoever wants to. Raise your hand, guys.
So
Okay,
Harsh.
it's Harsh. Okay. Harsh, yes, please go ahead.
So since a long time in the world economy, a standard global currency is used for international trade. And for most of the time, it has been the American dollar. More than 70% of the countries accept the US dollar as their standard foreign currency and maintain their forex reserves in the same. Today, we are going to discuss why dollar is getting expensive, and there are a number of reasons why.
Okay, just stop here, Harsh. Couple of things, because otherwise, it's not live. I mean, it's not, we are face to face. I will forget around that. So first thing is, never start your essay, WAT, anything with since. Okay. So don't use any, such words. You have to start with, make sure that you start with some sentence in itself, right? Since is not a very correct word to start your WAT with.
Got it, sir.
Now, can you read your first two lines? I just want to ponder on it once more.
Yes, sir. Since a long time in the world economy, a standard global currency is used for international trade. And
Stop
for most of the time,
now, if I read just your first two lines, how does it help me?
Okay.
So if I read first two lines of yours, would I be able to connect it with why dollar is getting expensive?
No, sir.
So what I'm saying, Harsh, see, and guys, I will give you a brutal feedbacks today. So don't, take it too hard, but I have to tell you about it, right? Yes, so your first two lines has to make sure that, if I start reading this WAT, which you have written, right? If I read the first two lines, I will not find anything new. I'll say, though, he's basically writing that, dollar has been used for a long time now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can you read your second paragraph? I want to see what is your argument which you're talking about.
Yes, sir. I started with the law of demand here. The law of demand plays a great role in the aforementioned case. More the countries trade with the other countries in terms of USD, the more expensive it will get.
Absolutely. So that's a perfect way to start. Law of demand makes a lot of sense. But do you have the numbers around how much is a trade deficit of India against US?
No, sir.
Or you have numbers of any country for that matter? What is a trade deficit? Because think, so the moment now see the difference between the arguments, right? You say law of demand because a lot of majority of the trade across the globe happens in dollar. And with that,
Yes,
if you
sir.
write, and it's getting expensive because there is a trade deficit of so many $1 trillion or so many $1 million or $1 billion between India and US, or between any country and US. That says that this person knows about it.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Right.
I
I'm
get
just
the
telling you, how you can improvise this.
Yes, sir. It helps a lot.
Okay. Just go to a conclusion, Harsh, very quickly. We'll take three
Sir,
people, three essays which you have written, and then we'll get into what you could have written in this. Okay. What is your conclusion?
Sir, I didn't write the conclusion, sir. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem, Harsh. I think I asked only 2 paragraphs, but I thought if you have written. Okay, let's move on to someone else. Who else wants to speak or discuss what they have written? Quickly, guys. Otherwise, I will have to ask someone. Okay, let's see whom I can find. Aditya Shaurya. Do we have Aditya?
Yes, sir.
Aditya, go ahead with your first paragraph.
All right. So I didn't have much knowledge about this topic, so I'd just like to present my introduction. So it goes as such. Dollar has experienced.
No, wait. Have you written this line? I don't have a knowledge.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Just read what you have written. That's fine.
Dollar has experienced a significant rise in its value, especially post-COVID. While various factors contribute to it,
Stop here. Just read the first 2 lines again.
Dollar has experienced a significant rise in its value, especially post-COVID. While various factors contribute to this, the boom in the oil production in North America is the greatest one. Adding to this, the fall in the prices of oil has boosted its value more.
Perfect. Just stop here. I think your first 2 lines, when I start reading it, you're saying post-COVID dollar has become expensive. Now there is a factual error. The factual error is it's not post-COVID. It has always been this. So if you see the last 20 or 50 years of our history, dollar has become expensive over the period of time. So the moment someone will read that, right? So that's not factually correct.
Okay.
Right. But I really like the way you have spoken. So maybe you can use some other, starting line. But then you mentioned 2 facts. What were those? Can you come on those?
Okay, so it's the boom in the oil production in North America and the fall in the prices of oil.
Absolutely. Oil. I think these 2 makes a lot of sense. Now, moment I will read this paragraph, right? So if I forget about the top 2 lines, then I would be interested in reading, because this person is talking something logical around the value of dollar. So I don't know, Aditya, if you didn't know about the topic, that's very, astonishing for me. But I think you have written the good pointers there.
So yeah, like there are other factors as well, but I don't know in depth about them, so I had to finish it.
No problem. So, but I think the paragraph looks good.
Yes,
the only thing is the first fact is wrong.
Okay.
Okay. Who else wanna go? Quickly, guys, quickly. Let me pick one person then. Do we have Anushka Kanogia here? Anushka, you there? Can you hear me? Okay, then we have Ketan. Ketan is raising hand. Let's go with Ketan. Ketan, go ahead, please.
So first of all, good evening to sir and everyone. Sir, I had started my paragraph with the fact that is in 1947, at the time of independence of India, the price of dollar and the price of rupee is equal. So this could be a good starting or not?
No. So this is what's your good name? Ketan, right?
Yes,
Ketan,
sir.
Right? Ketan, this could not be the starting point. See, when you start the WAT, right, make sure that you write something which is exactly relevant to the topic. Now, this could be a first paragraph or argument. You can say, or you can simply substantiate your argument by saying that dollar has always been, or has been increasing in price or has been becoming expensive over the span of time, because when in 1947 the dollar was equivalent to rupee, right? But it could not be a starting point.
Yes, sir.
As such. It could come in the first paragraph, second paragraph or third paragraph as a fact which could be used.
Okay, so got it.
Okay, let's do one thing. Now what I want you to do is, each one of you, before I show you what you could have written, will take another 2 minutes. I want you to give me reasons. What are the different arguments you had? Why do you think dollar is becoming expensive? Anyone now. Feel free to speak. Anyone who wanna talk about why do you think dollar is becoming expensive? Why is it so? Right? Today, if we see the prices of dollar versus rupee, it is somewhere around 74, 75, 76. It hovers around. So why do you think this is happening? So Ayush, go ahead.
Sir, I think basically because of the imports over the exports done in India, that could be a reason for that.
Imports are more and exports are less.
Yes.
Okay, that could be one. Perfect. Who else? Go ahead, guys. Just speak out the points now.
Sir,
Sir, exchange rates.
One by one. Who's speaking?
Sir, Lokendra. Good evening.
Yeah,
sir.
Lokendra. Go ahead. You will
Sir,
only raise hands, guys. When I ask you to speak, you will speak. Yeah, Lokendra.
Sir, I feel like the exchanges which happen due to excessive trades, the US makes it compulsory to do the payments in US dollars. Even for the oil we buy from Iran and Iraq, we have to pay in dollar bills. And this exchange rates, the more we trade with other countries, not just US, it raises the bills.
Absolutely. So basically you are saying there is a supremacy of US, that all the trade transactions have to happen in dollar.
Right.
It's not only a supremacy, but also because of the fact that it's a developed economy and this is a stable currency. That's what believed across the globe. You're very right. Even if there is a transaction between second and third nation, right? So if US is not even involved, still there is, the trade has to happen in dollar today.
Right.
In fact, just to add on that, so there was one of the point which has come up from China. What they wanted was, for all the transactions which China does, they wanted that yuan should be used. So there had been a lot of geopolitical issues around this particular reason, but you are right. Let's go to Akarsh.
So nearly half of the world's debt is issued in dollars, and obviously the trade deficit which India has.
Absolutely.
That contributes to that as well.
Very right. Who else? Ishan? Guys, keep your hand down once you've spoken, please. Yeah, Ishan.
Yeah, so during the pandemic also, like all the governments had to provide stimulus packages. So the demand was not increasing, but they were printing more money. The central banks were printing more money to push into the market, and that decreased the value of currencies against the dollar. Is that a good point?
But US was also doing that, right? Actually, you're saying the right point, but you're not giving me the right reason.
So
no, wait. Let me talk to Ishan for a while. So Ishan, what happens, right? Every country keeps a certain amount of their treasury, or certain amount of dollar reserves, right? So when they print more currency, the valuation of their currency deteriorate against that dollar reserves. So that is a correct point, Ishan. You're right. If you let's say today we start printing more notes, obviously our currency will devalue, but that will devalue because we have to keep a certain amount of dollar reserves.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Who else? Sufi Bhatia.
Good evening, sir. So I had 2 points. One being that during demonetization, as you just stated, we had printed a numerous number of new notes. That was also a factor due to which at that time also dollar had a steep surge. And another, during COVID, India had a lending from the World Bank of around $2.5 to $3 billion in emergency funds. During that time also, that is also a key factor due to which dollar was.
So you could say, not only you can say that India has, you can say that all the borrowings which happen through World Bank today happens in dollar. So that's a reason. Makes sense. Okay. Your name is Sufi, right?
Yes, sir. Sufi Bhatia.
Yeah, Sufia, that's correct, Sufi.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, then we have Yash.
Yes, hello, sir. So the one pointer that I was able to gather right now was in regards to globalization. To mention as my point that since globalization has brought all the economies and made them interconnected, and make them interconnected, we could argue on this point that we can argue on the global recession that happened that brought, I think I don't roughly estimate the figure, it's around -5% of the global GDP.
Now, how is it related with dollar?
So because it showed that how US economy had an impact on every economy. I mean, the businesses were shut in every places, including India. And
no, that's an interconnectivity of the economies. But so
Okay.
this is where side tracking is, right? Your main topic is why dollar is getting expensive.
Okay.
While what you are writing is more around how US economy impacts the other economies.
So can we mention that because of this, maybe the various people think that it would be better to take a job in US because of its global supremacy?
Again, not substantiating dollars getting expensive.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let me give you few of the reasons. So first is current account deficit, guys. I was expecting someone, to say that. So when you're saying why dollar is getting expensive compared to rupee, or why dollar is getting expensive for that matter, the current account deficit which India has today, right, or which any country has today. Now, what happens is when the government has more spending, and you might have heard those who have, how many of you have listened to the budget? I'm assuming everyone.
Yes, sir.
You can unmute and say yes.
Yes, sir.
I want everyone to say yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So guys,
Yes,
I can't keep a track of who all is saying yes, but if you are not, then it's a big issue, guys. I would suggest, for your PI, make sure that you read the budget. So current account deficit, most of the developing nations today have a huge current account deficit. We also have, right? As you might have heard in the budget. So our spendings are higher than the revenue of the government. Now, whenever there is a higher spending, so it is you could say when you have to match your spending vis-a-vis revenue, if revenue is less, so there are only two ways. One, you take loans, and that's what some of you have touched upon, that we have taken a certain amount of money from the World Bank that is issued in terms of dollar, and because the dollar is flowing in the economy, that's why the pricing or the demand of dollar will rise, and due to which the price of a dollar or the dollar will become expensive against our currency. So the majority of the countries have this current account deficit, and that is a reason that they have to buy more dollars, and because they have to buy more dollars, the dollar gets expensive year on year. Now, although just on a sideline, and don't include this as a part of your WAT, but on a sideline, our IT companies or any company who exports services gets a lot of benefit from devalued rupee and a valued dollar or an expensive dollar, because they earn in dollars and those are converted to rupee when they publish their results in India. Now, the second piece is global economic slowdown. One of you or two of you have touched it, that there is a global economic slowdown which has happened, due to which whenever there is an economic slowdown happens, there are only two things, and there is no logic behind it, but I will try to substantiate that. But all the countries start holding, or they start filling their reserves of, so they only collect two things. One is the gold reserves, and the second one is dollar reserves. And that is done why every country buy dollars and keep a reserve of dollars. And if you go to RBI website, you will find for India also we have a huge amount of billions of dollars in our reserves, because that is considered to be the most stable currency today, because most of the trades are happening in this particular currency. That's why global economic slowdown plays an important role in making a dollar expensive. Then movement of capital. Obviously, the movement of capital from one nation to another only happens through the dollar, right? All the trades which are happening, and some of you have touched this point, all the trades happen in dollars. And that's why any movement of a capital has to happen from one country to another. It is done through dollars. Acceptance of rupees outside India is very less, although we have recently with one of the nation, we have made sure that all our transactions happens in rupee. But again, the acceptance is quite low across the globe. Effect of new Indian economic policy. New Indian economic policy again gives a rise to more and more keeping dollar reserves, so that we are a stable economy in case of crisis also. So even when COVID happened, we bought more and more dollars so that our reserves remain there in case there is a requirement to give a financial stimulus to the economy. Government steps to tackle the issues. Now again, for tackling different issues, like one of them I said that we went ahead and purchased a lot of dollars for making sure that if there's a financial stimulus has to be given, it has to be given. We have to buy dollars from outside, and that's what we will have to supply within the economy. So these could be the factors which you could have included. Two, I think some of you have said. So that's what I'm saying. Read more around the topics, and these could have been your next two paragraphs. So first one is a introductory paragraph. Next two are the paragraphs where you give a argument, then you support that argument, and then you write the example for it. Say the third one again the same thing, and fourth one has to be a conclusion, or fifth one has to be a conclusion. Sufi is saying something. Sufi, go ahead.
So I wanted to ask that the increase in FDIs, which is happening from the past years, can that also be a reason?
Increase in FDIs. So what happens when FDI money comes to India? What do you think? What happens?
It is being invested in the upcoming businesses and
absolutely. So when they invest, right? So what they do, they bring in dollar. So we are not buying those dollars as a country.
Okay.
Right. That helps us in our economic growth, but it has nothing to do with the valuation of dollar.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Harsh, your question.
Yes, sir. So when I read my, what you said that the starting point was not, relevant to the topic. Yes. So can you give some exact, template for such topics? कि मतलब ऐसे start कर सकते हैं थोड़ा सा मतलब उसके आसपास का कोई idea?
Yeah, I think I will give you a talk. So there are two ways, right? If you find a better way of starting, do that. Okay, but I will give you a template. I will give you a template. In fact, what I will do is I will send you couple of standard WATs, and you can go through them. I will send it to Prashant here, and he will send it across to all of you. Couple of them which are samples which you can look at how to start, what body you will have, and how you will end the VAT. So you can look at those. But just to give you, let's say you don't know anything, right? You don't have any argument or to start with. You can always say that this is a topic given to us. So the topic is the dollar is getting expensive compared to rupees. And then you mention, I believe this has been happening for last 70 years or 75 years. And the major reasons I cite are this. Then you can give one or two reasons which can be fact-based, right? And then you can start your arguments. So you can do that, but I will send you some samples, Harsh.
Sure, sir. That will help a lot.
Mansi has a question. Yeah, Mansi.
So while we were discussing the arguments, we talked about debt and all. So while writing my VAT, I mentioned WTO and World Bank because the countries take loan from them, and I'm a political science student. So when I studied United Nations, I studied that UN is US and US is UN. So if I mention the political side of the topic, is that correct or not? Because this is not a political topic.
Yeah. So I will tell you, I understand you're a political science student. I have studied political science for some part, some time, not out of my course, but out of interest. You are absolutely right. And we believe that in political science that UN is US, US is UN. But we can't write anything which is not factual. Mansi, you're getting my point, because that will make our statements little more political.
Okay, sir, but I did not mention this point that UN is US. I mentioned the World Bank and WTO.
Yeah, so you could say that, all the loans are being processed in dollar.
Okay.
Right, but don't say this UN and US, because
yes, sir.
That's a unsubstantiated thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so just I will, though we have a limited time today, I will leave you with few things which you can do to improve your WATs. The first thing is practice writing on daily basis and develop a reading habit. Make sure that you write every day, guys. Now this seems like a childish, or like you are a school student that someone is asking you to do, but what I followed, I could tell you, at some point of time when I used to write WATs, every day in the morning I used to write 2 WATs. So there are a whole lot of topics which are available on Google. Just Google it. In fact, on the Time website, you can find those. So what you have to do is just pick the topic, write any 2 WATs every day. Read newspapers and stay aware of the current affairs topic. Along with this, I also say that, you can watch some YouTube videos around current affairs. That's also available today. Write with time limit and critique your writing. Critique your writing. I don't know how much you can do, but at least write with a time limit. So always have a 25 to 30 minutes time. And that's when you write your WATs in the morning or evening, whatever time. Choose a time limit of 25 minutes. Don't take even 30, take 25 minutes. Remember who you are writing for and match the tone appropriately. Now this is more to do with because it's a business school, right, where you're writing it, so your facts and figures should be more around business if possible. Use simple and easy to understand language in short sentences. There's no point of becoming the great English literature experts. What you have to do is you can write a simple language so that everyone can understand. That's what they want. Even the professor don't want to refer the dictionary to read your essays. So write in a simple form. It is beneficial to mostly maintain an optimistic attitude in your writing. Like I said, if something doesn't has a negative side or doesn't has the other side, don't write both the sides just for the sake of writing. Only write your opinion on it, and you can take one, you can favor that, you can go against, but don't write just for the sake of writing the opposite side. Practice writing in paragraphs and stick to one idea per paragraph. This I've seen a lot of challenge, and that's why I say, guys, write your essays and get them checked by someone, because most of the times I have seen we write as we speak. So if you are, and most of the times what you speak, there are a lot of grammatical errors in that. So when you write, make sure that someone can check it, and work on improving your flow. It will make your writing 10 times better automatically. So if you follow this structure where you introduce, give an argument, give a support, give an example or fact, next argument, support or reason, and then give a example or fact, and then conclude. Follow the structure. I think it would be much better. So I leave you with this. I had a little more, but okay, so we'll cover it some other day, but I will send you few WATs. I will send it to Prashant and he can further share it with all of you. Okay. Are we geared up to write 2 WATs every day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
3 people said yes, so I can understand how much intention we have to do that.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
I
Great.
have a
So,
question.
yes, who has a question? Please raise your hand. Ria, go ahead, Ria.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So in IMT Ghaziabad interview, they take there is a critical thinking topic. We don't have a current affair topic. So if a situation is given to us, say for example, there was a question to increase gender diversity, your organization has hired a female candidate by relaxing some work experience. There was something like that. So how should we go about it? Should we just write our views upon that topic, or should we cite some current, can we relate it with some current affair or something, some organization?
Relate with organization, I didn't get that part. Can you come again on this?
So I just quoted an example. Suppose a topic is given to us. Should we just stick to our views on that topic, or should we relate it to what is happening around? Or say for example, the Ashneer there was an issue going on in that Ashneer Grover. If somebody is if a question comes like in context to some fintech company and a situation similar to that is given, should we quote this example?
You can always quote an example which is in the public knowledge. Okay. Right? So if there is a news article around that, you can always quote it. But if it is, your perception of it, don't do that.
Okay, sir.
Till the time it is a fact, that means published somewhere, you can always quote it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And so what should our word limit, what should a certain word limit should be? Like,
So
how
like
much
I
should
told
we
you,
write?
right? Normally they give you the word limit. If they don't give you, your paragraph should not be more than 5, and each paragraph should be maximum 6 to 7 lines.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Akriti, you have a question?
Yes, sir. So I have my VAT a day after tomorrow. Is there anything significant I can do in one day?
In one day, you can write 10 WATs.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay,
And I
write
just
10
want
WAT,
to ask.
because more you write, you will improve. That is the only way. I mean, while we were preparing for CAT, we have not got a time to write, right? So this is the best time. You can write as much as possible.
Okay, sir. And just one more question. Like, for any reason, if I mess up my VAT, like the chances of conversion will completely eliminate, or
it will not
like,
completely
will-
eliminate, but there is a certain percentage which is associated with the VAT results.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, guys, here we stop. Thank you so much. Good luck, best wishes, and please continue writing, and I will send you a few samples. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.